I'm here with HMO specialist lawyer David Smith of Anthony Gold. And David, you're going to share with us a few of the kind of trends that you've been seeing in the HMO sector. So what have you been noticing?
Well, it's certainly the case that local authorities are getting more interested in prosecuting HMOs. There's more properties being licensed. People need to be very aware of what the licensing plans are in their local authority. And with the changes in government licensing permissions, those licensing areas are often getting smaller, so it's not a whole local authority area, it may be just a street or even a street corner. So you need to make sure that you know exactly whether your property is within or without a licensing area, or whether your investment property might be in a licensing area anytime soon. It's important to make sure you read all of the conditions of your license. Local authorities are getting increasingly concerned by landlords who have a license but then breach a small part of it, and are prosecuting much more aggressively for that. And then you need to be aware of the general risks of management. And HMOs are not the same as managing ordinary rental properties. You must have evidence of inspections, evidence of active management of the property, and evidence that you've complied with all of the management regulations, including electrical testing of the fixed wiring, and a notice up on the property giving your name and address. The number of times I see that not being complied with, it's a small matter, but it's an unlimited fine, and local authorities are picking on these small things to make the position increasingly unattractive for people who breach the regulations.
So how important is the HMO officer to get in touch with them at the start of setting up an HMO and really understand what your obligations are? Because I would regard them as a resource to the landlord.
I think HMO officers, environmental health officers, are much like landlords or tenants. There are good ones and bad ones. Try to find a good one. And picking a local authority to invest in should be about picking the environmental health department. Some local authorities are better and better run than others. It is better to be invested in those better run local authorities. Most local authorities do run landlord information evenings. I would certainly recommend going to them. You'll get to drink poor quality tea and wine and have cheap canapés, but most importantly, you'll get a really good picture on what the local authority is thinking, what their ideas are. You'll get to meet environmental health officers. They'll take your email address and put you on a list, so you'll be emailed about proposed consultations. You'll know what's going on, and you'll be the first to know, within reason at least, about what's going on. And that's information in relation to HMOs is the most important part of the game.
Well, HMOs definitely do seem to be the flavour of the month. A lot of people are saying that they're a good way forwards with regards to Clause 24, etc. But from everything you've said and from everything that we hear on Property Tribes, it seems to me that they are very much for experienced landlords who are running a professional business.
Well, inevitably you can make more money with HMOs, but the reason that you can make more money is that because you are taking a bigger risk. The financial risk is greater. Unlike an ordinary rented property, your chances of being prosecuted for things are much greater. The fines are unlimited, so those prosecutions can be business terminal. You will end up with a criminal record. You will not then be able to obtain an HMO license. So, yes, you can make more money, but you must have the experience, you must do your research, and you will need to manage those properties in a much more active way that will take up a lot more of your time. So it's as with most things, it depends what sort of landlord you want to be and how much of your time you want to invest.
So where would you say is the best resource for HMO landlords to find out the information they need?
Well, I think Property Tribes is a good place to go, actually. You can ask questions. Lots of great people are answering those questions. I suppose the next best area would be the local authority that you're proposing to invest in. You need to have a look at what the local authority is saying, and you can move on from there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for sharing those insights into HMOs. We've been talking to David Smith of Anthony Gold.